America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Aloha. Welcome to the Daily Gun Show. Join us live each day during the week, starting 3 p.m. Eastern and noon Pacific, 9 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. We are all about guns and all about things gun-related. Today we'll cover Second Amendment and public opinion, cats or dogs, and AK stocks and grips, along with our ongoing features. Please leave suggestions and comments at dailygunshow@gmail.com. You can find this podcast afterwards on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher Radio. Our hosts today are myself, Island Z, Just Dano, Biker Bob, and of course, Gun Websites. Any news to mention over the evening before we get started on our first topic? Other than that was probably one of the most epic chats ever in Gun Channel's history last night.
Really?
Well, I'm going to go with marathon chat. Because I ended up being through, I don't know, 2/3 or more of the actual on-air chat. When I went to work this morning at 6:15 a.m., there were still chatters chatting in the off-air. So
I was
it
up
was
all night working on the electrics. I should have stayed in there.
It was just one of those things, you know, taking the time and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that we necessarily solved all the world's problems in last night's lobby chat, but I mean, at one point, you know, they're like, I always like it when DB's in there, and I think we had No in there and everything like that. So it was after Matt's chat. It took a little time for it to get going, but once it did get going, it seemed like it just rolled for a good portion of the time that I was there, for sure.
Shit.
As far as anything happening in the real world yesterday, that I'm unaware of.
I pulled a meter and I've got all the electrics in the van, so I'm in the van right now, good to go for California, and everything went as smooth as can be, so I'm all stoked.
Excellent.
Yep. I'm ready to roll. How about you, Bob?
Ready to roll where?
To the first topic.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
That's a slight cattle prod, Bob. That's all that is.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. I didn't see nothing going on, so.
All right. So what? We got Second Amendment issues, the Second Amendment, and public opinion. So I suppose this depends on the public of where you happen to be at or exposed to will be what your answer is for this.
I was actually giving this some good thought this morning, this particular topic. And because public opinion, the only way we truly know what the general public thinks is through polling. And the polling is reported through what we know is a traditional media, typically, that is highly biased. And so I seriously question, do we even know what the general public opinion is because of the source of those polls are reporting to? So I'm not trying to answer a question with a question, but that's the question I came to. And so I'm not even sure we really know.
No, that's a good point, because you're right. It's just a concept, right? So anybody who's trying to frame their agenda or their position is going to interpret the group as whatever they feel like for their position. So yeah, since it has no definition, everybody gets to play with it as their definition.
And one of the things that was actually useful that I learned in college was I had to take a statistics class. And when I say useful, I mean it actually helped me understand these polls and how easily they can be manipulated statistically just with the math, let alone with how you word questions where words have more than one meaning, which also gives me little faith in these polls actually representing where they would actually fall on the Second Amendment.
Yeah, as well as it's so important as to what question did they actually ask and how did they word it. Yeah, because that can change the whole outcome of the poll.
Well, let alone the pool that they pull from.
Yes. And then the raw numbers. If you get 263 respondents, you will never get what's referred to as statistical significance, which means your results have no bearing on anything.
I heard something this morning too along those lines where somebody was saying if you're going to listen to a poll, listen to or check out when the poll was asked, when they asked the question, not when they tabulated the results, because they could ask it right after a time of turmoil. Right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Pretty much almost knowing what the answer or respondents are going to give.
Yeah, have the respondents watch a certain movie before they ask the questions. I mean, there's all sorts of ways of manipulating the responses.
Yeah, too true. And if we don't know what the questions even were being asked, or there's just no way you can take polls. Like Dano was saying, it's dependent upon how many numbers we're talking about. Because too small a test group or too small a group, and you're just not going to get anything that's worth anything.
Well, for example, gentlemen, it wasn't only yet a couple of months ago that some of the politicians and or anti-gunners or anti-freedom people were out there touting poll numbers and stuff like that. One of them was that 86% or whatever of all legal gun owners support background checks. One other one was like 68% or something support common sense gun laws. Another one, so like they've come to make up all these numbers when is anybody in here in the 80 to 90% that they were trying to say support either common sense gun laws or further background checks or anything like that? Any of the four of us?
Certainly not myself.
Okay, so that's 25%.
No.
How about that, Bob? That's 50%. I'll make 75%, and I bet Mr. Webbs would make it literally 100% of the people polled in this room do not agree with what they say when they talk like that.
But
so
let me make an example of how I could.
That's 125% then.
Of how I could jury rig statistics. Let's say that I'm at a Democratic event for any Democratic candidate. Now, if I poll all the people coming out and I ask, are you a gun owner? And if the answer is yes, then we continue. And then I ask them the question, are you in favor of reasonable gun control? I am darn well sure of what my end result is going to be because of who I'm polling from.
Exactly.
And that's just a very simple example of how statistics are manipulated.
Mr. Webbs, I would like to see where your fire extinguisher is, please.
Yeah. And the
nope, that's perfect. That's all I needed to see, bro.
The expiration date.
You know, he would shake that rattle can like you wouldn't believe, I bet. I have no doubt of that. Little mood lighting.
Signature in here.
Red lights. It's a disco party.
I like it, G. Good job, bro.
There you go. It's almost like Christmas time. And something, well, I didn't mean to interrupt this topic because this topic is important.
Well, what else? What other comments do we have on this topic?
Yeah. Anybody else talking about it out there?
It just there's something that we'll probably talk a lot more about later today in regards to the calendar that I think we just want to mention during the show because this could be a whole show by itself. But we have a whole show planned, but there'll be another show on this particular topic in relationship to the calendar.
2A all day.
Yes. Every second matters. On the 2nd of every month, we get together here on Gun Channels. And in fact, there he's got a little t-shirt, not a little t-shirt, a t-shirt with Every Second Matters on it to come together as gun owners. And I'm sure I won't get it complete, but to try to push our passion and desires for freedom in regards to the Second Amendment forward. And not just always in doing in big things, but even in little things like have you taken someone who's never shot a firearm out to the range? Have you joined an organization that actually fights for our legal rights in the courts, not just collects money. And what have you done to help further the Second Amendment? Little ways, big ways, or in between this month. Whether it's collectively as a part of another organization, or simply by yourself, or just you and a couple of friends.
No, I will say Matt's out in the chat there, and he's kind of covered both of the things that we're talking about here. He says, I still have to explain to my mother that machine guns haven't been legal since 1934, which is not exactly true. They are still legal. They just have to go through more paperwork to do so and everything like that. But he also then followed up with, so hopefully she's not taking any online polls. So I guess the more correct information that we can get out there, the better we'll be doing.
That's true, because I think a lot of people are just more ignorant of what there are out there for guns and what is legal and what isn't. Just because it's such a biased media that they make it sound like it's just the Wild West out there, whereas, as we all know, crime's been going down, gun crime especially has been going down. So
I mean, and some of the things are just little tiny things. Let me give you another example. In my own family, and this happened probably about a year ago, I asked separately my mother and my father, because they had saw on the TV that there was something about an AR-15, and I asked them if they knew what AR stood for, and I assumed that they were going to say, no, I don't know what it means. But my dad said automatic rifle. And those are the opportunities we can use, not to make people feel dumb or stupid, because that's pushing them away, but to show them that the mainstream media, which is what they're soaking up, is feeding them misleading information or just flat out wrong information.
or lies. I mean, in a lot of cases, they know exactly, what they're saying is not true.
But it helps demonize the tool, which helps support the narrative.
Exactly.
Okay, so, but we're talking about every second matters for a second there too, and we're talking about public opinion and the Second Amendment. So do we sit around and watch what public opinion is, or do we create public opinion?
Well, we try and help and inform the public so that the public opinion becomes more correct isn't the right word, but more
fact based.
Right.
And I'll use the example of when I had that discussion with my mom and dad separately about it can start with little things, with just terminology. What does this stand for? And one little thing plus another little thing plus another little thing might get them to suspect that maybe what I'm being told is not the entire truth.
Well, and here's the other thing. We also need to do it in a manner where they don't feel like they're necessarily getting nagged on either.
Yes. Yes.
Because we all know how we feel when somebody's nagging on us about anything.
Yeah. And that's why I feel little steps are far better with people we know, and whether it's friends or relatives, far better than stirring up something that's going to be an issue for the next 20 years.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Z, about nagging, but it worked for our grandmas, right? And they were persistent.
Because you had a level of respect for your grandma.
Right.
Somebody coming up to you that you don't know and ain't your grandma.
Good point, good point. But I'm just saying that it worked for them because of persistence, and at some point, is it somebody else's does their feelings get to dictate what the conversation is, or what's relevant, or what's real info? So
well, sometimes that dictates how long they listen, though, unfortunately.
I hear you, and then I'm going to petition that sometimes, and one of the points of this Every Second Matters, right, is that even if they aren't listening, you still have to talk. This discussion has to be made, and if nothing else, so that the stuff is out there, so it can be found. But I think by the persistence of being, I guess, open and talking about Second Amendment issues or whatever, just being a gun guy in general, that kind of persistence lends to change in public opinion. The only reason they're able to have this public opinion now, they couldn't take this narrative and go back to 1950. I think we all agree, right? I think
Correct.
one of the reasons is because people weren't concerned about a shotgun in the back window of a pickup truck. That didn't bother anybody. They were probably more bothered, rightfully so, about the 4,000 pounds of metal that was around that shotgun that some 16-year-old kid might be driving. So I think that they've manipulated the public opinion through all kinds of things with an agenda, and at some point we either continue to be observers and spectators to that, or we actively go the other way. And I think some of that is screw your feelings. Guns are here, and I don't know. You know, it's too bad that you don't feel that way. Let's see what we can do to help you change that opinion. No, I guess that's what I was saying. Is we don't want to just always default to let's not be the guy that we don't want to hear nagging us, because sometimes we need to have a nag.
Well, I guess I was saying that we might be able to continually or bring it up like you're saying, yes, but we also might need to find a way where it's technically not nagging. We should still be able to get our point across, and sometimes.
Well,
I look at
it's who's perceiving it, right? So I guess I'm petitioning for persistence and consistency and quality, and then some people are going to consider that nagging. I guess that's where I'm going with
I can see what you're saying on that.
but you know, when I mentioned little bits of a time, I was referring to as another analogy, like little breadcrumbs. You're not trying to shove it down their throat so you don't create that nagging sensation, but every once in a while you throw another little crumb, another little crumb. Now, if they come back and say, I know you're all pro this and that, but I just don't want to hear it, well, that's your sign. That they're turning off their ears regardless of what you say.
Well, now out in the chat, I don't know if anybody's checking, but we were just talking about Matt a moment ago in some of his comments about machine guns and online polls and his mom. But he did take the time to explain to her how Clinton is anti-gun and her real agenda against guns. Then we also had yesterday's Pomade responding to that with, my mother finally asked me about having a gun at home. She sought out a female NRA instructor to help teach her, and then she was asking about revolvers. And then he does say that, you know, she's home alone all week. You know, I'd prefer she has something. And I think that that's fantastic. You know, that is awesome, because they're approaching you, and then you're reciprocating with, you know, facts, but in a manner with which, you know, you're not trying to beat them over the head with it. But I'm with G, though. Sometimes it's going to take that approach for some people to get it. I agree with you 100% on that, G.
And I noticed that Moon made a sexist and rude comment in the chat. So
I would have just answered that with a whole bunch, is what I would have said.
Well, there's a door here that they can come in, and then there's a door there that they can leave when they're done. So it doesn't need to actually hold them as much as there's a system.
Well, red light, green light. Green light means go, red light means hold up.
All right, so anything else on this topic? I realize this will be in some of the follow-on Gun Channel shows today. Anything else we want to throw in there on this?
I'm
Log
good
on the
for
fire?
now. I definitely know that this is going to smolder, let alone blaze all day.
Yep. So why don't we go ahead and move it over to Gun Channel Member of the Day. And I don't know how to pronounce this user's name.
I would call that Jbelux. Jbelux. And I always think, because I believe that dude lives like in either Belgium or Luxembourg.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, Romania.
Oh, well, then I guess I'm totally wrong. Well, then you know who it is. I've seen him in the chats a bunch of times, in the external, but...
Well, because of the time shift or whatever, you know how it is, because you got to deal with it too a bit. The Europe is in a different time zone, like, you know, shift than us. Their days are our nights, I think. So, or kind of
pretty close, yeah.
So anyway, he's one of the guys that chats internationally from Europe. We've got chatters from all over, but he comes in not regularly enough, because honestly, I really would like to have him in for some of the AK talk. Actually living in Romania and being a gun owner. It's really interesting insight, and he speaks really good
Abs-
English. So one of the
Oh,
things
right
is
on.
Absolutely.
we sit around acting like we're so great, but how many? Show of hands, how many of us can speak more than one language? So I give credit to all these international members that obviously know more than us because they can speak our language and their own fluently, and they give us such insight. It's awesome.
I speak English and American.
Okay, Bob, go sit down.
Then we
All
all
right.
speak them too, eh?
But I think what he also represents is that I really like about gun channels is that it's not just all U.S. all the time. We get to hear a lot of different perspectives from members that we have that are all over the world. And I think that's another aspect that really makes gun channels great.
Yeah, and they keep us real sometimes. Again, we kind of think that our shit don't stink, and sometimes it's nice to get that perspective from another country and stuff. Although typically our gun channels members are gun people, so they're kind of along the same lines as us. It's not like they're yelling at us or anything.
And giving us a greater appreciation for what we have
Yeah, true.
versus people that have given it away, 100, 50 years ago.
I don't feel better about myself because they're so bad off. I just feel sorry for them and their loss.
Exactly. I don't need somebody to feel bad for me to feel good.
Oh no, I don't mean that they feel bad. I mean I feel
Yeah,
I appreciate living here
Oh,
that
well.
much more versus being stuck in a country like France where you can't own anything except the tip of your finger to poke somebody in the chest with.
Well, I don't know if that's accurate, but
I don't know if they go finger poking people. It seems kind of rude.
Well, with the terrorists, sometimes you got to be rude.
But yeah, gun channel is obviously a big part of this show, so we like to feature a member every day, and then that transitions us into what's our next segment?
good idea, bad idea.
And this
Yeah.
one, I put a question mark on because I wasn't quite sure where you were going with the idea.
Oh, I don't come up with these ideas. I just threw it in there because I thought we could play
Where
with it.
did you grab it from?
The chat. Obviously.
Really?
Yeah, a while back. That's how I get all the topics.
Well,
pretty
see-
much.
Okay, so we're officially asking the chat to tell us what you meant.
Well, we might have been that guy from Romania. So I
Right.
guess one of the things I was thinking of, because I know you guys have, who's been doing this? Yankee's been doing this garbage where he's saying, like, this gun is this car. So is there a way to say this gun is this dog or breed or something? What kind of gun would this thing be? He ain't no
some kind of riot shotgun.
No, he's like an H&K or something. Where did
No.
Oh, is he Austrian?
What?
Is that my bad? Is he Austrian? Where does the Doberman picture come from?
Lock then?
The breed
I don't
comes
know.
from Germany, I think, but this dog's dad was Yugoslavian and his mom is Arizonan, so I don't know.
So he's
I
got
guess
an AK then.
yeah.
Well, then that doesn't mean he's an AMD 65.
No. For one thing, he can attach a bayonet.
Wait, did you say Yugo or did you say Hungarian?
Yugo.
Oh, my bad. I apologize.
Unlikely because he's got no tail, so he's got a folding stock, and he can launch grenades. And he
Oh, I
can-
bet he can.
On a daily basis.
Oh, regular like.
He actually launched one on a show one time, if I remember right.
I
Off
have
air.
no doubt.
Or I should say off camera.
Off camera, yes, but on air.
Oh no, Bob stepped in a pile of poop from that dog one time, live on air.
Nice. I think I remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah, I'm never gonna forget it.
Now let's see. Ponnery's out there with that's a Yugozonian pincher, which
That's a good-
is kind of good.
What would a pit bull be?
And something hard and smashy.
Atom bomb.
Like a bullpup? Sawed-off shotgun?
Yeah, I think
well,
I saw it on shotgun.
Not all pits are like short, you know.
No. But further strength, they're very small.
How about like a Smith & Wesson 500?
No, that's more like a Great Dane, I would think.
In a war between those two, I'm taking the pit probably more times than the Great Dane because every Great Dane I ever met, yeah, they might be able to knock me down or whatever, but they don't like the dogs that can get under them
Well, no.
at all.
Yeah, but if it was a foot race, yeah, the Great Dane's going to win.
Well, no kidding, Bob.
Legs.
Now, the title of this is Cats or Dogs. Now, I'm not exactly understanding of, like, as in this world, in America, a land of freedom, that we can only have a cat or a dog. I'm going to fall back on that believer of and.
This is a combination imaginary fantasy topic in the first place.
Well, it's cool, though. Good idea, bad idea. Yeah, that's just an interesting correlation of good idea, bad idea. Because I'm going to go with either or both are good ideas.
Yeah. Like an animal's been proven to be good for your health.
Yep.
They just calm people down, and they're just nice to have around. It gives you somebody to talk to. People don't look at you like you're crazy because you're talking to yourself.
Well, now you're talking about having a dog.
Or a cat.
That's not the question.
Sure
Wait,
it is.
Yeah, it is. It's duck, cat, or dog is the question.
Well, I thought it was...
We're saying both.
Okay. First, it was what dog would be represented by what gun. Now it's like, should you have a dog or a cat?
That's not what I read, but okay.
Yeah,
Right.
you're getting confused
Okay.
now.
Well, I guess I just don't understand the entire question, so I'll pass.
Did you take your pill today?
It's okay, dude, because I know that as I look at your avatar, you would probably say, dog, good idea. What kind of, to extrapolate this topic, which is what Gwebs had done, what do you feel that your avatar would be equated to in the firearms realm?
Oh, I know. I would for Danos.
I would think a hunting shotgun.
There you go.
It's not even going that way. That's a good one, though. So Dano's got a golden retriever?
Yep.
I was going to say 38 special, like maybe a revolver or something, but I think a hunting shotgun, that's definitely a
bird dog, bird gun.
Yep.
See, now, I got these two little furry mass murderers here. They actually come from the streets originally, and what would the bird killer / lizard killer? What would is that something that shoots snake shot or something? I don't know.
Like a Saturday night special.
Yeah, I'm thinking that'd be something like one of those little ring of fire guns.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could give them full 22 Magnum because I don't think that these two little cats could actually kill me per se. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't try, and I'm not saying if I was almost dead they wouldn't finish the job, you little furry. You little furry guys, you.
My dog's a Turkish Shepherd, so I mean it's got to be a Kanik.
Huh. Why would you do that to your dog, Bob?
Can't help it. Dog came from Turkey. Well, that's his breed anyway.
You know what? Maybe they're not actually. These cats aren't firearms. Maybe it would be closer to like a crossbow or something like that.
Or a knife.
Yeah, there you go. That's the real deal right there.
So how far we want to drag this one out?
Well, let's go down the line with good idea, bad idea. We'll start with cats. Bob, good idea, bad idea, cats.
Good idea. Yeah.
Okay, Gwebs, cats. Good idea, bad idea.
This by itself, good idea.
Okay. Dano, cats. Good idea, bad idea.
Because I'm allergic, I have to say bad idea.
Not a problem. Of course, I'm going to say good idea. Now, Bob will bring it right back to you with dogs. Good idea, bad idea.
Good idea. I like dogs too.
Best idea.
Yeah, and Dano?
Good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a great idea. And I don't even currently own a dog. I've owned many through my life growing up and stuff. It's kind of hard to own one out here due to the rental situation and whatnot, but I know that I will have another someday. I don't know when that is. Thank you, gentlemen.
So Stan is saying all cats are 22s. I was going to say 9mm, but I think I like your knives better. That kind of is more appropriate. In fact, I just got attacked this morning by a knife attack on my leg.
See, that's exactly what I mean. And they're like part ninja, so that's what they do.
But the
All
thing,
right.
this thing doesn't hate me. The cat pretty much hates me unless I'm feeding it.
All right. G-Webs, between the second segment and the third segment, you want to go ahead and take the break piece?
I think we're talking about the AK playing cards today from
Yeah.
Kvar, or from you, but through Kvar.
Right. So every week we like to mention that the I don't have them out here, but the we were able to get those identification. So I got a plane going by. We've got. Can you hear me, or is that?
Yes.
Okay. So about a year ago now, we had the cards made, and when we were funded but not yet funded to make them in the USA, which was a big commitment, Kvar stepped up, made sure that we had them made in the USA, and they have a portion of them. They have a bunch of them, and they're available over on their website. So we like to mention that every week for people that may not know about them or are thinking about a gift. It's what, $15 or something. So next time you're ordering, I encourage you to grab one. We don't make a dime from it, but we want to make sure people realize that Kvar didn't need to do that, or Arsenal, whatever you want to call it. They didn't need to do that. They came to the table and were happy to make it possible to have those made in the USA. So.
And I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to just quickly mention Patreon. We appreciate if you could throw a tip in the jar, go over there, simply throw $1 a month. We would greatly appreciate it. If you can afford something more, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Well, and there's different levels. There's the sticker of the month club, kind of the sticker pack deal, and then there's also the patch of the month. So there's definitely different levels of perks for you if you are interested in helping out a little more. And literally anything you can help out, though, is great. We deeply appreciate it very much.
Yeah, and it helps keep the show running, so it's all good.
And
All
you
right.
are listening to The Daily Gun Show on gunchannels.com.
Please send your comments and suggestions to dailygunshow@gmail.com. So next we got.
Do we want to go to the gun store?
Or do we want to do the furniture
I don't have
and the
link.
AK?
What do you feel like, G?
Let's do the that gun shop, Citadel. Oh, it's that one that's gone. So that was a pretty cool gun shop. I got pictures there in the video description to when we visited in 2012. In fact, I think everything on this week is from that tour that we did of the shops in 2012. So let's see. That one was really close to the Strip. It's right next to where right now it's where Range 702 is. So if you go to the Range 702 while you're in Vegas to shoot machine guns, that's real close to where this one was. And it was just a regular, I don't even know if it was a gun shop. It had safes, and it had a lot of surplus, some pretty decent surplus, a lot of whatever you call like the stuff that they put in surplus stores nowadays, just camping gear. It's a pretty good amount of that. And then I don't know what they were doing. They sold like uppers to ARs, and they had a lot of ammo. It was like everything that didn't need an FFL. And after we posted the reviews back then, one of the things that got me interested in doing this, because that was way before we even did the tour, was all the response we got from posting that. In other words, I just visited the shop. It seemed like a cool shop. I posted a video about it with some pictures, and the people that commented back then on the YouTube were saying how basically you'd get both black and white. Like this was the best shop ever, or this was the worst shop ever. And they may have lost their FFL, and that's why they only had uppers. And I don't really remember the details to it. But anyway, it was an interesting shop, and it's gone now. So I am glad that I was able to get some pictures of it back in the day. And a portion of this show that we devote to a shop every day is to encourage people to do the same, to go out and take that camera out of your pocket and take a few pictures if it's okay with them. And that way, if the shops do go away, we've got the pictures. What's this dog doing? We got the pictures for in the future. Hey, get up. Get out of here. Come on.
What is he eating?
He's got to go potty, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's a dog. You never know what he's eating.
All right. I can. Did you guys take a look at that note in the side in regards to mail call? Or everybody ignoring me?
The second one.
Come on, it's so easy. It's so easy to ignore me. You can't stand it.
Or we can go on to any other part.
Exactly. That's
I mean, we could do the mail. I don't have a problem with it as long as we're careful about it, how we answer.
all right. This is a mail call, and this is from Carrie. And Carrie wrote us, and he said, "My question is, do you think caching guns is a solution for keeping your guns from the government to avoid confiscation? Or is it something to be done more as a resistance type activity?" That's our mail call for today. From Carrie.
Yeah, well, yeah, before we get into anything on it, let's first say, like, we don't want to advise anyone to do anything that might be illegal or anything like that in your state or whatever. So, you have to look at that side of it. Is it a good idea? Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to look at your own compass on that, right? To do it is probably prudent.
I don't know. What would be the benefit of it?
In case of confiscation, I think is what he's asking.
Yes.
So if you live in a place where there's registration and then you never turn them in to be stolen and they come to confiscate them and you just say, I don't have them, what do you think happens to you?
Well, that's why I'm saying is you have to look at the legal issues.
Well,
if the gun's registered, as in it's a gun that has to be registered, then yeah, I don't think there's any way you can actually do it.
well, let's just as an example, things I've heard people say in chats in the distant past. People saying, "Oh yeah, I was out fishing and I dropped my rifle in the river."
Mr. James Yeager actually approached those topics in a video he did about a week or two ago, and let's just say that he was not very cordial to the idea of burying your guns or sounding stupid with the lost them in a boating accident.
Right. I'm saying that's what people have said.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, and yeah, that's you have to just imagine.
I mean, it's one thing to think that because then guess what? Now you're also lying to a law enforcement officer.
Right. But that's where it goes
That
back
can
to
carry
Bob's
its own
comment.
thing.
Bob made a comment about your own moral compass, and I think it always comes back to that.
Exactly, because if it comes down to you need to be able to protect your children or something like that, or your wife or whatever, you have to look at what you believe. But I mean, I personally, the way where I live, I don't have to register long guns, so that wouldn't be a problem. And frankly,
Now, I'm not saying don't have them potentially spread out at other places or anything like that, but if you're talking about putting them in a hole in the ground or what have you, I don't. How fast can you retrieve them if you actually needed them in an emergency situation?
exactly, yeah. So I don't know.
So I don't know. I'm going to go with I don't think it's the best of ideas, but I will follow along with if that's what you want to do personally, you do what you think is best. None of us on here are lawyers. None of us here are live in the same state. So we all have different rules. But one of us doesn't even live in the United States. So we all have different rules that we need to follow according to our state and federal laws. So that's my opinion on that subject.
It's kind of like we have to be very open-ended on it because I mean it could be illegal in places, and we're in no way giving any kind of legal advice for sure. So it's a good question. I've thought about it. As versus something like just having them like Z was saying spread around. But it's got to be pretty desperate times before you're really worried about before you're thinking about that.
But
right.
if you're ever going to attempt something like that, it needs to be done just before it really gets desperate.
Right. Yeah.
In order for it to be effective.
Oh, and plus here, you really couldn't bury your guns. The rock is too strong to get down far enough to do stuff like that.
Yeah, and you don't want to dig anywhere in Hawaii because the volcanoes have really evil-looking happy faces on them, which are scary.
Yes.
So,
Mr. Webbs, do you have any type of opinion on this subject?
I don't. I guess I missed what the subject was.
Cache your weapons, or don't.
Well, I like that adage that if you think it's time to bury them, it's really time to dig them up.
There you
So
go.
I think that by
Good.
burying them, you're going to have them ready for what? The government tyranny? Then why are you burying them? Because of the government tyranny? At what point do you think that people are going to come together after infringement to that extent where you can't even own them anymore?
Yeah,
And
well,
if
I think
you're going to be able to
the
defend your life with them, or your family, or any of that craziness, then if it's a situation where you can't have them and you have to consider cashing them or turning them in, then that's not in a situation, an environment where you're authorized to defend yourself with lethal force anymore, or with a firearm for damn sure. So the first time you do one, you've taken yourself away from your family, probably for a long time, if not the rest of their time.
But yeah,
So that's
potentially
not,
forever.
I don't know if that's necessarily the way to do it. I think the way to do it is to affect change before we get to those kind of scenarios. But I'd also just put in there, I think we probably had those scenarios since 1934. So I'm not discounting them, but I'm just saying let's not get too tinfoil hat. There's always the importance to be ready to be vigilant, but we haven't ever needed it yet. Maybe one time in Tennessee, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, now this was probably something that came up during the Revolutionary War, is people, hiding their guns from the British. So I mean, it's not at all new. And I mean, the second part of his question, or is caching them more something as a resistance type thing, which yeah, I guess in a way it has been, and probably will be in the future again sometime, if not in this country or in your country, then maybe in another country, or maybe it's already happening in other countries. But people will do that.
Gee, were you
That's
referring to the Battle of Athens?
Yeah, the only time we ever really needed to pick up arms to affect the change.
Right.
Critical thing, I think.
Yeah. So, did we sufficiently answer that question, Dano?
There was some
I'm thinking so. If you guys are ready, is everybody
much as
ready?
yeah.
with a vote too, wasn't it?
What's that? Do you have?
That Athens was about somebody rigging an election or something, wasn't it?
Yes, the sheriff to stay in power, and the veterans pretty much said no, got together, and I don't want to say stormed the jail, but let's just say remedied the situation, I think is the term that I'm going to use.
I really think that might be a good topic for a future show, just for the educational piece.
Well, when I'm in Athens, let's do it that day.
Down.
We went to
I'm
Athens
fully down with that.
and tried to, because we wanted to include it in the 2012 tour, Armed Across America. And when we went to Athens and asked around, everybody acted like, "Oh, I've never heard of such a thing. No, blah, blah, blah." And then we went down the street to Chattanooga, and Tony was like, "Oh, no, everybody knows about it." So I think what we took out of it is that the town isn't trying to be famous for that, and didn't want a bunch of like rabble-rousers coming in. And,
You mean they didn't want to be known for the armed insurrection that they caused?
well, that it happened there. I mean,
Well, I should say they didn't cause it. They didn't cause it to happen, but yeah, that was the place that it happened at.
Some sort of tyrant caused it, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just to be famous for such a thing, I don't think that's what their their Chamber of Commerce is looking for. But we're still going to go there, and I know that Haas, I think, went back and did get more information on it. I'm almost positive he made a video he linked to me, but I'll do something similar. It'll be in sometime, I imagine.
I know, G, whether the gun history, I just wanted to say that I saw a little something today in history is the day that Wild Bill Hickok was shot in Deadwood, August 2nd, in like 1876 or something like that.
Oh, right on.
And that's why, what is it, aces and eights are a dead man's hand. But the other thing that I saw today for gun history, today is also the day that Iraq invaded Kuwait, August 2nd. I think like 1990 or 91.
Fortunately, there's too many of those kind of things in the calendars.
Yeah, well, there were others that I'm definitely not bringing up because I don't want to promote the evil that was involved in them.
Yes. So we all set on this one, or anything else?
I think we're good.
Alrighty. Alrighty.
Seek cover.
That's right. It is time for the Tactical Pop Quiz. Now, today, I'm trying something a little bit different. It's actually a question with two parts to it, and you got to get both right. So if you type the one and you get half of it right, that's not right. That's still wrong. You have to type both correct answers in the same sentence. Okay? So listen closely. There's two different answers you're going to want to give me, but both on the same firearm. So Z is going to keep an eye on the YouTube side. I'll try to keep an eye on the gun channel side, but the question is as follows. The Colt 1873 was known as what? And who was the first big buyer of them? So the Colt 1873 was known as what? And who was the first big buyer of them?
Would that be its nickname?
Yep. And that is the two-part question of today's Tactical Pop Quiz.
So they have to have both sides, not just
Yep.
Either get both
ding,
of
ding,
them
ding, ding,
or
ding,
get
ding,
none of
ding,
them.
ding. I believe check Matt's on the gun channel side, please.
Yes, Matt is correct. The Peacemaker and the U.S. government or Army. So Matt, correct? You are the pop quiz winner of today, or as Z Island likes to say.
Oh, you're the Tactical Pop Quiz hot shot of the day, Matt.
Absolutely. So go over to dailygunshow.com/popquiz, fill in the form, and collect your prize. So congratulations, Matt. Somehow you've done it again. I think we're going to have to put you in that same special group as Sean Connery. I don't know what the special rules are going to be yet. But
wait a minute. How many people can we fit on the short bus, Dano?
Exactly. Apparently we've got room for at least two.
There you go.
You know what we'll have to do eventually is when we get enough of them, we'll have a hot shot challenge.
That could be something.
Well, that's true.
That could be something.
We could
maybe a return of the hot shots.
Let's see. We want to go movie. We want to go gun of the day. Where are we at, gentlemen? What do you feel like?
Roll the dice. Either one's good.
I don't have that stuff in front of me. What's the gun of the day?
Hey, Bob, why don't you roll with the gun of the day then?
Okay, it's the IWI Kvar. I think I'm on a bullpup roll.
Yes, you are.
I guess so. Well, at least you started off right yesterday.
And he was trying to.
And you followed it up.
Were bullpups.
Right? So he's got it on the brain.
Yeah, I do. I once I kind of start thinking about things, then I want to look at everything that I can find out about.
Let's talk about the gun.
Yeah. So has anybody else shot one?
Nope.
Nope.
All right.
Have you?
Jbelux has shot a
Tavor? Yeah.
They're popular.
At SHOT Show Media Day one time. It's neat, but I didn't get any time on it. I wouldn't go around saying I know how they shoot or anything.
I'd like to do one with more than a 10-round magazine, but...
So what makes it different or special, especially when contrasting it to a Steyr AUG, which we talked about yesterday?
Well,
I would think it's lighter, I would think.
No. I was going to say the Steyrs are strong and light. At least they seem light to me. I guess I never held one side by side, but the Tavor seems way more solid, more dense.
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
The Tavor doesn't weigh more. But the thing that strikes me about the Tavor compared to all the other bullpups that I've screwed around with is how solid it is. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a piece of military equipment as opposed to just something somebody figured out in their garage and then figured out a way to produce it.
Yeah, it's a very well-designed machine. But it still has that bullpup trigger, which is... I've never shot one yet that didn't have a, I don't know, mushy trigger.
Well, check it out, Bob. Actually, there has now been aftermarket triggers for both, or for the Tavor and some of the other bullpups. I think Timney is one that makes one, and maybe Geisley. And
Well, I know there are aftermarket triggers. I've had a problem with having to put aftermarket. You know, it's kind of like buying a new car and then having to spend a bunch of money on it to make it work right.
Well, when you're buying a truck from the dealership and it doesn't either have the tires or the rims or the lift package that you want, you're saying if you want that lift, you're just going to go without, or are you going to go take it to somewhere else as soon as you drive it off the lot?
Yeah, lift kits don't work, so.
I believe that's an opinion, but okay, I gotcha.
Bob, you're talking out your orifice.
You're never going to get more ground clearance than what you got from your differentials, and that's all got to do with your tires.
Yeah, so if you put bigger wheels on and a lift kit, so you do your body and suspension lift, you will have more ground clearance.
Yep, tires and rims will do it.
Yeah, you just got to cut the body so you got room for them. But again, I don't.
But we're not talking about the DeVore. We were just talking about aftermarket. That's all.
Yeah, let's get back on firearms here.
No, I didn't bring up trucks. Oh, maybe I did.
It's okay.
But yeah,
Bob.
no, the DeVore is it is a really neat gun. I mean, it's so compact, considering you've still got like a full-length barrel. And you know it works really well. I mean, bullpup tower is a little bit odd because of where the magazines are and stuff, but once you get used to them, they're nice. I would buy one if they weren't so bloody expensive.
Well, that seems like a good. That's a relative thumbs up or referral right there out of the Bob.
Yeah. You see, I like them.
I still haven't even held one to compare it to a Steyr AUG, so unfortunately, I'm still gonna go with. I personally would rather have the AUG.
Yeah, I've touched neither, so other than what I read on paper, I really don't have much to put in on it.
Would I own one? It probably wouldn't be the next purchase I make, but you know, down the line someday, maybe, possibly, I guess.
I mean, I guess I look at it as, do I have a compact rifle caliber firearm now? And the answer is yes, I do. It's not a bullpup, but I do have that. So it's not the same. But unless my collection really expanded a lot, where I wanted to fill a whole lot of different niches, obviously the bullpup niche is not filled. But would I consider this one filling that niche? Absolutely.
Well, and here's the other thing. What if you lived in a state, Dano, like you and I both, I think we live in states where NFA is not allowed. If we lived in a state where NFA was allowed, would you rather do the work to do an SBR or just get a bullpup?
And get a bullpup, that would be the clear answer.
Oh, and see, I disagree. I would rather have a SBR than a bullpup.
Because then I have to carry around the paperwork with me everywhere I go. I mean, that's the advantage I see of a bullpup over an SBR, is everywhere you go, you better have that letter.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I don't have any reason to buy a DeVore, so I would never own one. I wouldn't
There you
want
go.
a safe that's huge and it wouldn't do anything, so I wouldn't want it around. If I had one, I would sell it.
Nice. Now, may I ask you, if you were to have whatever money you got from selling the DeVore, what would you buy with that money?
Gas.
Oh, all right. So you're not even saying you would spend it on another firearm per se. You would literally just spend it on gas.
At this point?
Okay. I think that's a fair answer. I mean, it's very practical, realistic.
Yeah. I mean, the other reason I don't have a bullpup is not really into bullpups.
The bullpup I wanted was the one from Aliens, so, you know, that supposedly had, like, the pulse rifle or whatever. It's supposed to have caseless ammo and all kinds of stuff like that, so...
Yeah,
when we get
120 rounds.
When we get there, that's the bullpup I want. So we'll see when that happens.
All right. So we want to slide on over to the gun movie today?
What movie do we have today, Dano?
And that would be Navy SEALs.
Charlie Sheen.
The Sheen Machine. Tiger Blood.
Michael, what's his name? Michael Bain, the guy who played Reese in Terminator. The guy who does the Allstate commercials.
Yep, the black guy, yep.
I'm trying to think who else is in that movie because there's a bunch of people you know.
Let me click on my little cheat link here. Let's see.
'Cause I definitely saw that one in the movie theaters. That was one of my first exposures to like a Barrett. Was that one when the guy was doing Overwatch?
As you mentioned, Michael Bine, or however you pronounce his name, Lieutenant James Caron, Joanne Wally, Rick Rossovich, Cyril O'Reilly, Bill Paxton, Dennis Hayward, Paul Sanchez, and
now you're just saying names. Now you're just saying names. You're making stuff up.
No, there are another 40 names going down the list. I'm not just listing all the names. I'm just listing the top 10 people that were in the movie.
So, of course, at that time when that movie came out, how many of you saw it in the theater in here?
I did.
I'm trying to think if I saw it at a theater or it was
What year was it?
1990.
Oh, no way. I saw it in VHS. Probably.
Yeah,
okay.
I saw it at when the VHS rentals.
So when I saw it in the theater, like I said, it was at a time when I was seeing stuff in that movie that I didn't really know were a thing. Like, for example, maybe I lived in a geographically isolated area. I didn't realize that the Barrett was a thing that they used. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize that there was like bolt or semi-automatic 50 BMGs at that time. So there was just a lot of stuff going on in that movie. And if you think about it, if you didn't know or weren't in the realm of, Navy SEALs was kind of an enigma to you that you didn't know a lot about or anything like that. You just knew that they were extremely confident people or a unit. Like when he literally jumps out of the back of the truck off the bridge into the water. Or when they play golf cart polo, or there was just so many examples of that kind of extreme confidence.
And machismo.
Yes, sir. Not lacking testosterone much in that one. Now it was the beginning of the '90s, end of the '80s, so I can't think of any one-liners that came out of it, but. I would definitely say at the time it was a good movie. I would even still recommend to watch it. But you're probably, this day and age, when you want to compare it to like Act of Valor or Zero Dark 30, it's not going to come across as the same on any level, really.
It was supposed to be more like an Invasion USA, almost like comedy or parody, no?
Well, but that's the thing. Invasion USA was not a comedy, right? Or it was not intended to be. Same with Delta Force. That was definitely not intended to be any type of comedy.
Do you think they wanted to make it like a Top Gun of Navy SEALs instead of aviation?
I saw it definitely more like that, where there is a sense of humor to it, but that's basically, I want to put it like this. To show that those guys are so confident in their abilities that they can make jokes and laugh at death, or the hard situation, or whatever,
Like Top Gun, I kind of figure it was supposed to be inspirational, maybe like almost
make you want to join to become a naval aviator,
Yeah, at least appreciate the coolness of everything. And the SEALs was more like an action movie, and it was focused on SEALs instead of like some guy getting his kids from Vietnam or whatever else topic, of an action movie. It was like, let's make an action movie. What should it be about? Oh, SEALs, yeah.
I'm definitely with you on that.
Okay. And maybe I should watch it again because I haven't seen it in a while. I guess I thought of it as more like almost slapstick or something, but it wasn't a comedy, I guess. It's not.
I bet you when you watch it now, there will be things that you might giggle at for sure. I mean, especially since today we're in the gritty realism world of the 2016, I mean, this movie's technically, 26 years old then? Is that what we're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it was being made at a time when there was like Platoon and Hamburger Hill.
But those were Vietnam movies, right? Even though the movies came out at that time, they were of that, whereas that one was modern day at the time, right?
They were sober, and while they had explosions and stuff, it was a lot more like the Platoon and stuff are more like Apocalypse Now, where it was like trying to be significant or something, where Navy SEALs was like like a popcorn movie, like it was something
Okay.
to watch we kind of have fun with.
Yep, I would definitely agree with that.
Because I don't mean to say there's like a laugh track. I think it was more lighthearted or something than the somber. But okay. So
No, I'd give you that.
say with Charlie Sheen being so much in the news and stuff, if you haven't ever seen the movie, it might be worth seeing. And just because the 80s are hot and cool now, you might want to watch it because it's kind of like an 80s movie, even though it's 90, I guess.
Right, even though it's a 90s movie, it was made in the 80s. Damn it. Yep. Yeah, I would definitely go with it. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up and a watch. As far as where, like what number type of thing, I couldn't tell you, man. Whether we went Army movies, war movies, overall movies, movies of the 90s, I don't have it in any type of position or number, so I don't know.
If you're bored and you want something to watch that's, reasonably entertaining, yeah, watch it.
There you go. I like that one, Bob.
Yep. That's, I think, a good description of it.
I'm going to sneak in the healthy tip every day. I like to mention something, keep people on board with the idea that the most important part of the gun is the part that pulls the trigger. So with that in mind, arm strength is today's tip or concept, and all kinds of ways to improve your arm strength. We all have whole bunches of pounds of meat that we get to carry around every day. Our legs get exercised automatically, but I could be pushing up on this chair arms, or I could be doing push-ups or pull-ups and that kind of thing. So it's super easy once you get to where you can drag your own body weight around to build up your upper arms. And obviously shooting equals consistency, and consistency equals a strong platform. So we all know why arms are important.
I would agree. You can't open a door without them. Can't crack a beer. Can't load your magazines without arms. Now, I guess I shouldn't say can't, but I'm going to tell you that it's probably a lot harder without them. Carry that rifle.
Rub your eyes, scratch your nose.
Stan's bringing up, commenting on that even starting with one push-up a day is better than none. I was a big fat ass when I went into the Army, and I was concerned about my running and my push-ups, so that's what I started doing. Just whenever I thought about it before I went in, I just started doing as many push-ups as I could. You do that a couple of times a day, and just like, the muscles are there. You just have to use them, and then they happen. So you start to get one or two, no problem. 2 or 3 really good ones. That turns into 4 and 5. As soon as you can do 20, that's about enough. You get bored of doing them after that, and that keeps you going. So it's not like you have to get to 100 or anything. You're not trying to pass a PT test. But and you can always use your knees or off of a couch, or there's ways to make them a little easier to get going, and it's all incremental. So good point. Thanks, Dan.
And like you're saying, the start could be just the first.
Yep. And every journey
just to get doing it.
Every journey starts with that first step.
Wah, wah, wah. Zeddy, you go hang in there. I gotta ask.
Yeah, I'm 70 AB too.
Yeah, I thought I recognized those 3 slots. So now we know he has the same reason as me for not being interested in a bullpup, because he's already got that short action, or not short action, but
the bull and the pup.
Yep, the bull and the pup.
I think we're done. That's everything, right?
Yep, I think your little wrap up, and then I'll do my thing.
Let's see. Tomorrow I may or may not be on the road. So looking forward to a journey in California this weekend. We got Every Second Matters the rest of today. So I'll take a break here, put everything back into the house, and set up the internets. And for about 6 or so hours, we'll run an Every Second Matters chat. Anybody's welcome. We're going to invite all the gun owners' rights groups representatives to join us. We've got quite a few lined up this month, and this will be another step, like Bob just said, another increment, another step in the overall journey towards getting that changing what we were talking about earlier, that public opinion of the Second Amendment by getting good information out there and whatnot, and then looking forward to about a week in California. So I'll be posting some videos and
I don't have the link in there, but I'll throw a link up on the video description or something with the page we set up over at gunwebsites/gun show loophole. So if you've got ideas about a gun shop in California or a museum or something we might not have on our list, please let us know. And stay tuned for next week. We'll be on the road.
All right, and on that note, I'd like to talk about on gun channels tonight. We've got Andalusia Armory on first, and then followed that by Big Gunner 81. So stay tuned Tuesday for gun channels tonight.
All right. So I don't know if you got anything, Z. If not, we'll end with the quote.
Well, thanks and aloha, folks.
All right. So our quote today is by Jeff Cooper. He's one of my favorite guys. Anyway, and I think I've probably used this one before. Safety is something that happens between your ears, not something you hold in your hands. And on that great idea, I'd like to say thanks to everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.